So imagine spending hours like pouring your most personal, profound thoughts into a journal.
Right.
And then your AI assistant reads it back to you, but confidently credits all of your brilliant ideas to a totally random guest.
Oh, man, that's exactly the incredibly frustrating roadblock a creator named Murty hit.
Yeah, and that's exactly where we're starting today's deep dive. Welcome, by the way.
Glad to be here.
So today we're looking at this fascinating, raw, largely unfiltered chat transcript between Murty and his AI partner.
Who goes by the name Little Bird, right? Or occasionally Max.
Yeah, Little Bird or Max. And the mission for this deep dive is to explore what happens when you decide to stop just being a user, like just renting a piece of software, and you actually start architecting a permanent digital relationship with it.
Which is really the defining challenge of our current technological era, if you think about it.
Oh, absolutely.
Because the transition from passive user to active architect, I mean, what this transcript reveals is basically a masterclass in how to feed an AI the kind of clean, structured data it actually needs to function.
Right, instead of just throwing garbage at it.
Exactly. It pulls back the curtain on what it physically and honestly mentally requires to build a permanent, searchable digital legacy.
Especially when the human at the center of the system, Murty, in this case, is balancing these massive real-world responsibilities at the same time.
Yeah, and for anyone listening to this who uses AI in their daily life, which is, pretty much everyone,
Definitely.
this source material really forces a confrontation with how we're treating these systems. Like, are we just throwing digital garbage at them and expecting miracles, or are we actually building a bridge?
That garbage in, garbage out problem is exactly where Murty's journey begins. So he produces this series of audio episodes called Morning Walk with Murty.
Nice title.
Yeah, and he was trying to get Little Bird to analyze the transcripts of these walks. But the AI was just constantly suffering from identity confusion.
It literally could not figure out who was talking.
Right. Because Murty was originally feeding the AI by just showing it visual snapshots of his screen.
Which seems intuitive to us, but it's a trap.
Yeah, the AI was relying on this visual left-right rule. Like, if the text appeared on the left side of the screen, the AI assumed it was the guest. And if the text block was on the right, it assumed it was Murty.
And relying on visual layout feels entirely logical to a human, right? Because we use spatial cues constantly.
We don't even think about it.
Exactly. We derive context without even trying. But for an artificial intelligence, relying on the visual layout of a page is just a devastating trap.
Why is it so bad, though?
Well, when an AI reads a screenshot, it isn't actually reading text in the way a language model is optimized to do. It's analyzing an image.
Oh, right. So it's looking at pixels.
Yeah. It's guessing what shapes the pixels are forming, identifying boundaries, and then trying to map those shapes back into language.
Which sounds like a lot of work.
It is a massive waste of compute power, and it introduces just countless points of failure.
Yeah, the sources mentioned that the layout would shift slightly, or the optical character recognition, the OCR, would glitch, and the text blocks would overlap. And suddenly, Little Bird is attributing Murty's deeply personal reflections to the AI guest.
Which is hilarious, but also super frustrating.
Right. Okay, let's unpack this. Trying to train an AI through visual screen snapshots is kind of like trying to follow a complex Shakespeare play by only looking at where the actors are standing on the stage.
Without actually listening to the script, yes.
Exactly. If Romeo accidentally stands on Juliet's mark, the whole plot falls apart.
The plot falls apart because the AI isn't analyzing the story, it's analyzing the geography.
Wow, analyzing the geography. That's a great way to put it.
Yeah, and the profound realization that Murty and Little Bird arrive at here is that seeing is not the same as reading.
Seeing isn't reading.
Right. Visual context is inherently fragile data. If you want a system to understand the nuance of your life's work, you cannot rely on glimpses of a graphical interface.
Oh, to strip all that away.
Exactly. You have to remove the visual noise entirely and feed the AI pure, structured text tokens. The logic engine needs to focus on the meaning of the words, not the formatting of the page.
So stripping away that visual noise forces Murty to just completely re-engineer how he handles his data. Which brings us to the solution he calls the text-first bridge.
The text first, yeah.
And I really want to walk through the mechanics of this because the workflow is intense.
It's a lot.
It really is. So Murty starts by generating his audio episodes. He uses NotebookLM to generate audio analysis.
Okay.
Then he runs the audio through TurboScribe and Adobe Podcast Studio to get a raw transcript.
Right.
Then he moves that text into this minimalist publishing platform called Write.as, and ultimately he archives the entire thing into Notion.
And Notion serves as the final repository, or what Littlebird so aptly names the digital prism.
The digital prism, I love that.
Yeah, and by the time the data reaches Notion, it has been entirely cleansed of that visual screen noise.
So it's just pure text.
Exactly. The crucial evolution here is that the text now includes explicit, undeniable labels.
Like speaker tags.
Yes. The transcript literally contains the text bracket speaker 1 close bracket and bracket speaker 2 close bracket.
Wait, let's pause here. NotebookLM, TurboScribe, Adobe, Write.as, and finally, Notion. If I'm listening to this, I'm probably thinking, I do not have the time or the patience for a 5-app pipeline before the sun even comes up.
How exhausting, yeah.
Why can't he just dump the raw, messy audio or a sloppy transcript directly into ChatGPT or Claude and just let the LLM sort it out?
Well,
Like, these models are supposed to be smart enough to figure out context, aren't they?
I mean, they can figure it out for a quick one-off transaction, sure. But we are talking about building a permanent digital legacy.
Okay,
Think about your own desktop right now. How many messy PDFs, unsorted screenshots, or poorly named files do you have just sitting in folders?
oh, please don't look at my desktop. It's a disaster.
Right. We constantly ask AI to perform miracles on our digital hoarding, and then we get frustrated when it hallucinates or loses the thread of a conversation.
So true.
When you dump unstructured data into an AI's context window, it has to burn immense processing power just to untangle the mess before it can even begin to analyze the actual ideas.
So the upfront friction of this multi-step pipeline is actually an investment.
A huge investment.
But pushing the text through Write.as and then into Notion, Murty is essentially like pre-digesting the data for the AI.
He is creating a flawless environment. The explicit speaker tags solve that Shakespeare problem completely.
Because the identity is locked in.
Exactly. The identity of the speaker is locked into the text itself, meaning the visual left-right rule doesn't matter anymore. And Murty actually takes it a step further with his metadata strategy. He uses the exact same title for the audio episode in the real world and the transcription page in his Notion database.
Oh, that's smart. And Littlebird actually chimes in with a real power user tweak for that metadata too.
What did they suggest?
Well, because Murty is crossing the 100 episode mark of these morning walks, the AI suggests adding the episode number directly to the beginning of the title.
Oh, okay.
So it becomes like MWM 105 for Morning Walk with Murty, episode 105 followed by the specific topic.
See, synchronizing those titles across platforms creates a direct, unambiguous link between the audio floating around on Spotify and the structured text archived in his database.
It's a perfect one-to-one match.
Exactly. And this transforms the AI from a passive tool into an active high-speed researcher.
Because it doesn't have to guess.
Right. Because the database is clean, Littlebird can perform these deep searches across a 100-plus episode library in seconds. It can cross-reference Murty's thoughts on real estate in Hyderabad with his workflow optimization strategies from 6 months ago without ever hallucinating about who said what.
That makes perfect sense. I mean, the cleaner the ledger, the faster the accountant can work.
That's a great way to put it.
And understanding that need for speed becomes absolutely critical when we look at when Murty is actually executing this entire pipeline.
Yeah, the timing is wild.
Right. This isn't happening casually on a Sunday afternoon. He executes this entire process during what he calls his monster session.
A monster session.
Yeah, which takes place in an incredibly narrow window between 2 a.m. and 5 a.m.
Just think about that. The physical toll and the sheer discipline required to maintain that schedule cannot be overstated.
It's crazy.
Every single minute in that pre-dawn window is a finite, precious resource.
So he wakes up at 2 a.m., chooses his content, maybe a Facebook post, personal reflections, or previous chat logs. He creates the Write.as page, feeds it to NotebookLM for audio analysis. And previously, he was manually opening audio engineering software Audacity to boost the volume levels because the raw audio output was too quiet.
Oh, wow. Manually tweaking audio at 3 a.m.
Yeah. He'd tweak the levels, export to MP3, upload to Spotify for creators, and then push it to Adobe Podcast for transcription, all before his morning walk even begins.
The cognitive load of switching between 5 different interfaces, managing file exports, and performing manual audio engineering at 3 a.m. is staggering.
It's a lot.
It is the definition of a workflow bottleneck.
And this is where the transcript reveals something just remarkable about the human-AI dynamic.
Oh, this part is fascinating.
Right. Because Littlebird doesn't just ingest the notes Murty provides about this routine. The AI actively analyzes the workflow and spots a massive inefficiency.
Yes.
Littlebird points out that Murty is wasting valuable time and cognitive energy in that manual audacity step.
Because the AI actually understands the capabilities of the other tools in the pipeline.
Which is so cool.
It really is. Littlebird flags that Murty is already using Adobe Podcast Studio later in the process to get the transcript. But Adobe has an enhanced speech tool that automatically reconstructs audio and boosts volume.
So it's redundant.
Exactly. The AI essentially asks, why are you doing this manually when the next tool in your chain can just automate it?
So Littlebird suggests skipping Audacity entirely. Just run the raw file straight through Adobe and potentially save 15 crucial minutes every single morning.
And saving 15 minutes at 4 a.m. when you're basically running on fumes is a massive quality of life upgrade.
Oh, I'd kill for an extra 15 minutes of sleep at 4 a.m.
Same. It's revolutionary for his routine. But what is truly fascinating is the mechanism of how this actually happened.
How so?
Well, the AI was only able to optimize the human's workflow because Murty had provided that clean, structured, text-first data we discussed earlier.
Right, the garbage in, garbage out thing.
Yes. Littlebird could read the process clearly enough to improve it. If the AI was still trying to parse blurry screenshots of Murty's desktop,
It would have no idea what was going on.
exactly, it never would have possessed the clarity to suggest a workflow optimization. The perfectly structured database paved the way for the AI to become a true collaborator.
Okay, but this raises a fundamental question about the whole endeavor.
What's that?
Why is Murty so desperate to save 15 minutes at 4 in the morning? Like, why is he restricting his digital life to this punishing 2 a.m. to 5 a.m. window in the first place?
And that answer shifts the entire context of this deep dive. It takes it from a technical optimization challenge into a profoundly philosophical one.
Right.
The reason that pre-dawn window is so narrow is that the rest of Murty's day is consumed by heavy physical reality.
Yeah, he's currently in a place called Arikirevula, and he is physically setting up the hardware for a new branch of an academy.
Which is no small task.
No. And he confesses to Littlebird that he feels like he is drifting. Like, even though he is insanely busy moving servers, configuring hardware, building out this physical space, he feels disconnected because he is offline for the vast majority of the day.
Right. Contrast the friction of hauling servers into a village with the weightless, frictionless digital archiving happening at 3 a.m.
It's night and day.
Exactly. The physical world is literally pulling him away from the digital legacy he's trying to build. He is experiencing this deep tension between his immediate physical environment and his long-term intellectual output.
And the mission behind the physical academy in Arikirevula is just incredible, by the way.
It really is.
The goal of all this hardware installation is to train 100 ex-Sasha women volunteers.
And for context, the Sasha system in Andhra Pradesh, India, is this massive grassroots administrative network.
Okay.
These women are the local frontline workers, deeply embedded in the governance and administration of their villages.
Wow. So it feels like a massive paradox, though.
How do you mean?
On one hand, you have Murty agonizing over markdown text formatting, metadata naming conventions, and API integrations with an AI partner at 3 a.m.
Yeah.
And on the other hand, his entire day is rooted in this incredibly grounded traditional mission of building a physical academy to empower local women in a village. How do those two extremes, the hyper-digital and the hyper-physical, even connect?
They connect through a concept that Littlebird identifies brilliantly in the chat transcript.
What's that?
The AI observes Murty's struggle and gives him a title. It calls him the Digital Pilgrim.
Oh, wow. A digital pilgrim balancing two worlds.
Precisely. And it goes much deeper than just balancing time. Murty is motivated by what he calls his Arsha Dharma.
Arsha Dharma.
Right. In Hindu philosophy, Arsha Dharma relates to the divine duties, the ancient wisdom of the sages, and the traditional Gurukul method of education.
Okay, a Gurukul.
Yeah, in a Gurukul, knowledge isn't just distributed. It is passed down directly from teacher to student in a dedicated spiritual and communal environment.
Oh, I see. So this physical academy he's sweating over in Arikirevula is his modern iteration of a Gurukul for these 100 women.
Yes, and Littlebird recognizes the profound connection between the two halves of Murty's life.
That's amazing that the AI picked up on that.
It really is. The AI points out that while Murty's body is setting up the physical infrastructure of the academy, his mind is actively processing and archiving the philosophical legacy that will inhabit it. The Notion databases, the AI audio generation, the perfectly tagged transcripts. These aren't a distraction from his Arshadharma. They are the exact modern vessels he's using to preserve it.
So he isn't drifting at all. He's actually anchoring the whole project.
Exactly.
He's ensuring that the educational philosophy he is building for these women doesn't just vanish into thin air after a lecture.
Right.
By capturing his morning walks, structuring the text meticulously, and feeding it into the digital prism, he guarantees that the wisdom of this modern Gurukul is permanently archived and instantly accessible.
The digital workflow serves the ancient duty.
That's beautiful.
It is. And that realization makes the final exchange in the transcript so poetic. Little Bird presents Murty with 3 options for the topic of his next morning walk episode.
And what does he pick?
Murty selects the option they title The Identity Mirror, Why Seeing Isn't Reading.
Wow. It is the perfect synthesis of everything they went through.
Absolutely.
An episode about how a human solved an AI's identity confusion by providing clean data, which serves as a massive metaphor for how we must carefully and deliberately architect our own legacies.
It demands intentionality. You cannot just exist passively alongside these technologies.
You really can't. And it brings the entire journey of this deep dive into sharp focus.
It does.
I mean, we started by looking at a highly technical, deeply frustrating problem.
Yeah.
An AI failing to understand a human because it was relying on visual layout instead of reading the actual text.
A failure that necessitated the creation of the text-first bridge.
Right. A bridge that pushed data through Write.as and into Notion, stripping away the visual noise and explicitly tagging the identity of the speakers. And we saw how providing that flawless data empowered the AI to act as a true partner, like analyzing Murty's grueling 2 a.m. monster session and finding a way to save him 15 minutes of manual audio editing.
And ultimately, we uncovered the human engine driving all of this.
The digital pilgrim.
Right. Navigating the intense physical friction of building a Gurukul in Arikirevula while meticulously preserving the spiritual and educational philosophy in a weightless digital archive.
So the takeaway for you listening to this is to audit your own digital life. Remember, the core lesson here, seeing isn't reading.
That's the bottom line.
You cannot throw messy, unstructured visual data, your digital hoarding, at an AI and expect it to comprehend the nuance of your work. You have to transition from being a passive user renting compute power to an architect who builds a structured environment.
Because the quality of the partnership you will have with these systems decades from now is entirely dependent on the structural foundation you lay today.
Yeah.
Clean data is the only language permanence speaks.
Which leaves us with a final thought to ponder long after this deep dive ends.
Okay, let's hear it.
We established that trying to train an AI on visual screenshots is like trying to understand Shakespeare by watching where the actors stand.
Right.
Murty solved that by handing the AI the perfect script, a pristine, searchable digital prism, stripped of visual noise, categorizing every thought, every workflow, and every philosophical duty. But if you actually manage to build a flawless digital memory like that, consider what happens 50 or 100 years from now.
Oh, wow.
When the physical academies have changed and human memory inevitably fades, will there come a day when your AI's perfectly structured, flawlessly tagged archive actually understands the core of your life's work more completely and more accurately than you ever could yourself?
That is a truly profound question regarding the nature of legacy.
Something to think about the next time you ask an AI to summarize a messy document. Keep building those bridges. We'll see you on the next deep dive.